start, I think the expectation was in going to Tanzania that this would be a life-altering experience. But never in my dreams did I expect to be so touched by the Tanzanian people.
I have always wanted to go on a trip, on a mission trip, but I never thought that anyone would take me because I don't have any medical experience. I saw Dr. Banda walking down the street, and within that one split second, I stopped my car and I rolled down the window and I said, "Dr. Banda, can you take a person like me on your trip? I would love to go." And she said yes. So that kind of started the whole process moving forward for me.
I was born in Tanzania, East Africa. And my parents, because they were educators, they tried to give us the best education they could possibly. And although they were educators, they didn't have a whole lot of money. The income was very, very low. But they tried their best, made sure we go to the best schools we can. My mother had a scholarship to go to Canada for leadership training, and from there she looked into schools here in the United States, and women at the time and before that time were not allowed to really go to school or excel in anything, so she made sure that I would at least have that opportunity. And she spent all her retirement money to bring me here in the United States. And I went to a school called Cheney State, which had given me a tuition scholarship, but I didn't have room and board. I then ended up working 3 jobs while there to pay for my board, and then transferred to St. Joseph's University, where I completed my studies. But finally, Penn State said, "We're going to take you and we'll help you get your green card, and you're going to come and go to school here." So I ended up going to Penn State, Hershey Medical Center, where the experience was tremendous. I was the only black student in my class, and I knew I had to excel. My mother quite a few times would write and tell me how I spent everything she ever owned, and that I must be careful and make sure I succeed in life. It was a lot of pressure. My intent was to either be a teacher or to be a doctor. I had seen quite a few sick people in Tanzania dying because of lack of basic care. I was young at the time. My brother had asthma and almost died, and it was the physicians were actually ignoring him. It was the aggressiveness of my mother that saved my brother. So I always wanted to become a physician. In 1988, I had completed all my requirements for medical school, and I had 3 months to spare. So my advisor and I talked about going back. I had this intense desire to go back and give back, or also look at what the hospital facilities were and what I could do to help. And I went to a hospital called Bugando in Tanzania. And while I was there, I was appalled at the situation. There were no bed sheets. The syringes were re-sterilized so many times. The gloves were dry and brittle and broke. The patients had no medications. If you got admitted, you had to call your family member. There were no phones. You had to actually send somebody to your family members to go to a pharmacy and buy you the medications you needed. It was then that I thought, well, perhaps I could impact a little bit. I had gone with a few drugs, and it was very fulfilling to see that I could give a patient a 10-day course of treatment and they would get better. Patients who didn't have any clothing, and I had taken boxes and boxes of clothes, and just the smile on these people's faces to pick a sweater or a dress was so gratifying. I also had taken instruments for the hospital itself, and the fact that I knew the surgeons were using those instruments to save a life or to change a life was very gratifying. And so when I came back and elaborated on my experience, that's when the idea of maybe getting a group together was formed.
I first heard about this program about 5-6 years ago when Mary had been, talking to us about this. And we indirectly helped Mary out in terms of getting, funding or getting medications. But the last trip that we took in July, I just wanted to go there and see what's happening.
Jambo Tanzania is a non-profit organization strictly run by volunteers, and our goal was to provide free health care and education to the people of Gera. This came about with my experiences when I went to Gera and found that the kids had no place to get their education. And it was very evident that although I'm not rich, a little bit of my donations would go very far. And we solicited volunteers, did some bake sales, and ended up getting benches for the children. We were able to build the classrooms for all the children and a room for the teachers. And since that time until now, we have about 300 students coming out of that school. Very gratifying to know that we've given them education. But my expertise is in medicine, so I had to do the medical piece of it. That's what I'm good at. It was very obvious that we need an inpatient facility. We need 24-hour longitudinal care. These patients come. Piecemeal is nice, but it's not the best thing for this patient population that does not have any access to healthcare. So from my experience of building this elementary school, we decided we were going to build our own health facility. But before that, we didn't have the money, so we asked the villagers to give us a room where we could come and provide healthcare. We started off by using a one-room, bat-infested room that was given by the villagers, no privacy. We couldn't examine the patients properly. We couldn't talk to them privately, and there are certain issues you discuss with the patient that needs privacy. It was then after a few Suffield Academy students and actually one of the teachers came with me on a trip that we were able to raise the money to build this health center. We got that money, we built our own health facility, it's an outpatient. And then with several cases of patients coming in who are so sick that they should have been admitted in ICU, even some of the cases we see, or they should be admitted to be monitored and cared for in an inpatient setting. That was impossible. And we have to leave the health facility before dark because we drive into town. So most of us agreed that building a small little hospital was important. And we started piecemealing that too. Each time I get $5,000, I buy bricks. The bricklayers are from the village, the cement, and we paid for the architect to be designed. And now we're at the window stages, but it's becoming very tough to get any funding. Like I always said, people do need to have healthcare, education, food and shelter. Every human being should have that. And if I could impact a society with the little that I am doing, then it should be done. It should be continued. So now we're building this hospital. We are at the window phase. We have bricklayers from the village. We have the bricks from the village. We employ people to mix the cement. So when we're there, when the money is there, we don't only build the facility, but we also give income to the villagers. They can then buy food, maybe a piece of meat. If we had a clinic, like a hypertensive clinic, these patients could come in every month and get their medications refilled, and that could prevent a lot of things, strokes and so forth, and death.
My role there was one of the main physicians there, trying to see as many patients as possible. Most of the cases were primary care cases where we had, general medical problems like infections. We were treating skin diseases, venereal diseases. And this made a big impact on the local population because some of these processes are treated just by an antibiotic for a few days and they get better. The bigger chunk of patients that I saw was patients with hypertension, people with high blood pressure, and all we could do is give them medication for 30 days. And after that, they didn't have any follow-up. So it's very important that we try to build up this process and have more support over there. So we have more teams getting over there or employing local doctors over there who can take care of patients locally when we are not there.
We would like to complete this healthcare facility, the inpatient building that we're currently under construction. The goal is to have an operating room, an inpatient for children, pediatrics, obstetrics, male and female. And that is because there's so many preventable deaths. The other thing that we need to do at this, once we build it and have a dedicated person running it, or a physician, we can do so many other projects, education, we can take care of emergencies, C-sections, strangulated hernias, which people die from, appendix, people die from that. High blood pressures, prevent strokes. HIV/AIDS is huge, and they don't have enough facilities to provide the medication or even to counsel these patients about protection. Water is the source of quite a few evils. Dehydration, gastroenteritis, which can be completely reversed with cleaning water. We're aspiring to get a water well built so we can have water, not only for the hospital and the people around, but for anybody who needed clean water. And that way we'll have 24/7 longitudinal care, and the patients at least can get the care they need.
So how did we make a difference? This process, I felt I was just a piece of the puzzle because our stay there was about 2 weeks, and the population over there needs support year round. And some of the patients we saw haven't seen a doctor in their lifetime. So I think we made a difference in the sense we were able to provide care for them, and we want to continue to provide care for them.
Group is making a tremendous difference. I just dream, and then other people help me to make my dream a reality.
It's a wonderful experience and feeling to know that you're making a difference in someone's life.
Many times I've thought, wow, how can I go forth with this? It's so challenging, but I can't stop because of the gratification when you see the impact you make with very little.